The war of Gog Magog is one of the things that many people have heard about, but there is not very much material about it online, about the Torah sources that specifically say it exists, that it is from the Torah, and it's not some fantasy, it's not some common denominator that you have among the different religions where everybody says that at some point the world is going to end and there's going to be a big war and that's it. We're going to go over where is Gog Magog in the Torah. It's going to be really where is it, what is it, why even have it, and really addressing two major issues aside from that. One, for those that say that we've already seen it, Holocaust. Nearly 30% of the Jewish people were killed, murdered. Many people, including some rabbis, say that that's the Gog Magog. So we already saw the disaster. Now only good. You're going to see from all of this that that's not even remotely possible, that it already happened, according to the Torah. The second thing is, Baruch HaShem, is what to do. How do you prepare? Now we've all heard, okay, do tshuva. What does tshuva really mean? What do I do? Now, there's a teachings that I'm sure all of you have heard during the holidays, is that Sukkot is connected to Gog Magog. And this year, more than any other time, I noticed that many rabbis online, in shul, mentioned Gog Magog's connection to Sukkot. Perhaps it's because last year we saw at this time a tragedy unlike anything we've seen in recent years that gave everybody an idea of what Gog Magog can look like, even though it was a tragedy that's minor in comparison to what Gog Magog is going to be. But October 7th, where nearly 2,000 Jews were massacred, and a lot of the stories that we were originally told have found out to be lies, where initially they said there was just a few hundred terrorists that came into Israel. We're finding out now that what we said initially, which is that that's a lie, and it's much, much worse, that even what we thought is not enough. Recently, the government admitted that over 10,000 terrorists entered Israel, and they haven't been killed or caught. Many were, but there's still many out there. And only by the siyata d'ishmaya, only by the mercy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are we alive and well, and Baruch HaShem, fighting whatever war needs to be fought, whether it's with Iran or it's with Hezbollah, all the different things that are happening. Obviously, there's still a lot of rockets every single day being shot into Israel. More or less, a lot of the things are more scary than they are damaging. But still, it's a nerve-wracking situation. The anti-Semitism around the world has increased to all-time highs. Only thing that would challenge it is what happened before the Holocaust. So a lot of people are thinking about this time, even more than they're thinking about heaven or Gehenom. They're thinking about Gog Magog. People see that there's a war in the air. There's a war happening. So everybody's asking, is this it? Some people are assuming this is it already. Sefer Kedosh Yisrael, page 85, Rabbi Israel Misalant quotes and said that the war of Gog Magog, the worst 3 hours are going to be on Hoshana Rabbah. And those that are inside their sukkah learning Torah during those 3 hours will be saved. Wait, now, is the whole war going to be only 3 hours? No. In fact, the war is going to be much longer than that. Now, you're going to say, wait, but we heard that there's going to be a war. Gomi Vilna says the main destruction is going to be less than 10 minutes. Yes, that's the climax. But Gog Magog is not a single war, but rather a series of wars that culminates towards the end. David HaMelech, Psalm 27:5, where David HaMelech says, indeed, he will hide me in his shelter, in his sukkah, on the day of evil. The Baal HaTurim says, I heard from Chachamim that the resurrection of the dead will happen during Nisan, and the win over Gog Magog will happen in Tishrei. Tikkunei HaZohar, in Tikkun number 64, on Psalm 27, verse 3, where David HaMelech says the famous that if there's going to be a war, there's going to be some type of major issue that's much more than the typical. What kind of issue? A milchama. Tikkunei HaZohar says, what milchama is David HaMelech talking about? He's talking about the milchama of Gog Magog. And this is the reason why it's a custom to read the prophecy of Yechezkel, talking about Gog Magog. David HaMelech says that Tikkunei HaZohar is referring to Gog Magog, where the 70 nations are going to attack Israel. And because he sat in the house of Hashem, in the sukkah of Hashem, learning Torah, he'll be protected. Now, the first question a person has to ask is, what is the purpose of this war? If Hashem wants to end the world, turn the off button. If Hashem wants to kill a bunch of people, turn the off button, they disappear, turn to dust, where they came from. The purpose of Gog Magog is Hashem's revenge against his enemies. All at once, from all of the generations, the neshamot of all of the enemies will be in that last generation, in our generation, and Hashem will take vengeance against all of them, all at once, in order to glorify and magnify his name. As the Mishnah in Masechet Avot says, which is a pasuk from the prophet Isaiah, everything that I created for my honor. Now, the the prophet Zechariah, chapter 14, which is a chapter full of prophecy about Gog Magog, where he tells us, behold, a day is coming for Hashem when your spoils will be divided up in your midst. I will get all the nations to Jerusalem for the war. The city will be captured, the houses will be pillaged, and the women will be violated. Half of the city will go out into exile, but the rest of the people will not be eliminated from the city. Hashem will go out and wage war with those nations, as he waged war on the day of battle. So here we see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already told us, this is what's going to be. Mount of Olives will be split open at its middle, east to west, forming a very wide valley. Half of the mountain will move to the north, and half to the south. You will flee as you fled from the earthquake that was in the days of Uzziah, king of Yehudah. Hashem, my God, will come. All of his holy ones will be with you. But beyond that day, the light will not be either very bright or very dim. It will be a unique day. It will be known as Hashem's day, neither day nor night. But it will happen. To its evening time, the day will be light. So here, Zechariah is telling us, this is prophecy for all generations. The Gemara in Masechet Megillah says that even though Am Yisrael had over 1 million prophets, only 55 are mentioned in the Tanakh because their prophecies are related to every single generation. Meaning that even if there's a verse in a Torah or in one of the prophets or in one of the writings that is referring to a specific story, whether it's the story of Absalom or the story of Chizkiyahu or the different events that happened at the time of Beit HaMikdash or anything else that's mentioned in the Torah, because it's not only a book of laws, but it also gives us a history of what happened, but it's a book of prophecy that every one of those sentences is related to you and I today. In this chapter 14, he's saying that there's also going to be change in nature, where there's going to be one day without night. There's going to be a plague, a major devastation, with the ultimate goal, says verse 9, Hashem will be the king over all the land. On that day, Hashem will be one, and his name will be one. Meaning the ultimate goal of this entire war is to glorify Kadosh Baruch Hu's name. There is not going to be any more idolatry, there's not going to be any more heresy, there's not going to be any more wicked people, there's not going to be any more war after this. People will live in it, and there will be no more devastation, and Jerusalem will settle in security. But before that, the war will have different parts. Some of it wars of the nation, some of it wars from Shamayim. There's going to be rockets and guns and all those things that everybody I'm sure is familiar with. There's also going to be fire from Shamayim. There's also going to be major natural events, earthquakes and so on, plagues. This will be the plague with which Hashem will strike all the people that have organized against Jerusalem. Each one's flesh will melt away while he is standing on his feet. Each one's eyes will melt away in their sockets, and each one's tongue will melt away in their mouths. It will be on that day that there will be a great panic of Hashem among them. Each one will grab the hand of his fellow, and his hand will be raised up against the hand of his fellow. So many words. One guy, one Rasha, is trying to help his friend give him a hand, takes his hand, and all he has is his hand left. The rest of him is gone. And the wealth of all the nations all around will be gathered, gold, silver, and garments in great abundance. And similarly will be the plague of the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, all the animals that will be in those camps, just like this plague. Meaning that this is also a time where even the animals will be affected in this great day of Hashem. Now in verse number 18, the prophet says, these nations, says everything's going to happen in Jerusalem. What about the nations that stay behind? They stay in China, they stay in India, they stay in wherever they stay. They didn't come and attack Israel. Those nations that can't come to Jerusalem to accept Hashem on Sukkot will be punished with another plague on Sukkot. In so many words, already we see that this is going to be a day unlike anything else we've ever seen before. But Gog Magog, as painful as it is, it's like birth. In the end, it must happen. Mishnah in Masechet Eduyot, Mishnah 10, in chapter 2. Rabbi Akiva says, Gog Magog, 12 months, and the judgment on the wicked in Gehenom. And of course, we already learned that not all wicked are the same. The one wicked that's still considered Israel means that he keeps Shabbat, keeps family purity, keeps the bulk of the mitzvot, but he lies in his business perhaps, or he does certain things that are sins, doesn't make blessings, has more sins than mitzvot, so he has to get punished, but he's still considered part of Am Yisrael. We see that the prophecies about Gog Magog are all over the place. There isn't one place where you're going to get all of them. Isaiah says the war of Gog Magog is a time where the nature is going to change and different nations will be punished differently. So for example, he's talking about how Egyptians are not going to be punished like other nations, where let's say other nations are not going to have rain. The Egyptians are not going to be punished with not having rain. For them, their punishment, the Nile will dry up. Why? Because their main source of water is the Nile. So Hashem is going to change nature in different places in order to close the account with everyone. But it constantly talks about how it's always connected to Sukkot.